constant companion, your greatest helper, or heaviest burden. I will push you onwards or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half the things you do might just as well turn over to me, and I will be able to do them quickly and correctly. I am easily managed. You must merely be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something to be done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I am the servant of all, great individuals, and alas, of all failures. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, though I work with all the precision of a machine plus the intelligence of human. You may run me or profit for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place this world at your feet. Who am I? I'm not talking about myself, dear friends. I'm talking about habits. Habits form people. And today's session is basically about habits. And today I've got 8 CBSE toppers with me who are going to share their habits which they developed in their class 10 and 12 board examinations. And I'm so happy to invite all the 8 precious gems, starting from Aditya, Ishan, Jagriti, Aromal, Anya, Anthony Cecil, Utkarsh, Khushi, and Ayan. So a warm welcome. Thank you for taking out your time. And I'm sure your words of wisdom is going to benefit so many youngsters today, especially during these COVID times when they're all attending online classes. And as we hear them, their story, how they have gathered courage to give this examination and how they came out with flying colors, you can also post relevant questions on the chat box that, and I'll be trying to get the answers of some of them. So once again, a warm welcome to all the audience. A very, very good morning, and I hope you are going to enjoy this session with all our 8 CBSE toppers. So on this note, I am going to invite our first speaker, Aditya Ishan, to... Aditya Ishan is from Don Bosco School, and something what I wanted to tell about Aditya is such a gentleman. The first thing that you notice about him is his calmness. He's like the divine Buddha amongst us. And in class 10, he got 100 in science, he got 100 in maths, and he's got 100 in social science. He's got 100 in a lot. So 100 in 3 subjects, and he's got about 97% in the aggregate. So it's over to you, Aditya. How did you manage to get 100 in 3 subjects? It's quite a lot. And one thing he was the president of the maths club in school, and he used to bring all sort of problems. And what we understand about Aditya is his humility. In spite of knowing so much, probably more than the teachers, he was always humble and a very gentleman. And he will always come with very good questions and good solutions, and probably better solutions than what the teachers used to offer. So Aditya, you are such a good orator, you are a leader, and you are so good in academics, and I mean, you are the ultimate guy whom everybody looks up to you in school. So it's over to you, Aditya. You can unmute yourself and share the secrets. How did you manage this 300s? How do you do everything so precisely with precision? With Aditya Ishan, everything is easy. So were you like this from childhood, or you developed some habits? So what is the secret of this?
Thank you for the introduction, sir. So when it comes to my preparation and the overall achievements, whatever I've been able to get, so I feel that it's all a result of hard work. And I, for one, can say that I was not always like this from the beginning. So there was a time when I used to struggle with maths, which is my favorite subject, in which I scored 100 in the board exam. So I feel that hard work is what makes a man perfect. And it is through such hard work that I've managed to get the 100 marks in maths. So taking maths as a specific example, so this is about 3 years before my class 10. So I was very bad at maths. I could not understand things properly. and I lagged the focus and how to prepare for the subject, how to prepare for an exam. So I didn't know the path to that preparation. So it is something which I have acquired over time, that and this is something I've learned from experience, that practice is what leads to the success. So it is. So one thing that I would want to say is that you need to practice as much as possible, and each question, no matter how many times you've solved it, try to solve it one more time. So keep testing yourself through practice, and that is what makes one perfect. And when it does come to habits, I say that along with practice, discipline is something which goes hand in hand, something very important. And discipline should be there not only in your learning during your preparation, but also in your daily life. So if you're disciplined, everything will fall in line. And when it does come to my schedule and during preparation, so the schedule that one has is, of course, greatly dependent on what one is comfortable with. So I, for one, happen to be a person who is better off working in the morning. So I prefer getting up early. So let's say that I go to bed at around 10 o'clock and getting up at around 7:30. That happens to be working very well for me. So getting up early and then working, of course. So in the morning hours, yeah, the peak productivity. So things work out very well in the morning for me. And so, of course, when it does come to the time when one is supposed to study, it is all dependent on what you are comfortable with. Okay, so it is something which has all these questions that are coming up. So you can work, it depends on you. So you may be more comfortable with working at night or in the morning. So that is something you have to figure out for yourself. And when it came to my resources, the material that I referred to while studying, so I say that whatever you do in class, that is the most important. So my notebooks, and that is what I refer to for the most part, studying from my notebooks. So as you know, when you are in class, the best way to make use of your time during a classroom when a lecture is going on is to take notes. And this is something which is much more relevant in the online medium nowadays. So even if nothing is being told to you, like it's just a lecture, nobody's asking you to write anything, it's okay. Take a notebook, take a pencil, or in your textbook, just keep scribbling and writing down, keep taking notes. And whatever you are studying that day, the lecture itself will remain in your memory for longer. You'll be able to retain all that. So notebooks and your textbooks are your best friends, the most important. Refer to your notes, study from your notes, and when it comes to your textbook, read it multiple times. Read it multiple times and solve the questions religiously at the back of the textbook. Keep doing it a few times at least. And finally, for the board exams, I'd say that you also need to practice from sample papers. They formed a very crucial part of my preparation. So sample papers, when you are solving them, it is better to time yourself while doing so. So I'll give you a little anecdote I'll share with you. So during my board exam, I got 100 in maths, and the thing is, I managed to finish my paper well within time. That is about 50 minutes before the time was called. And this is actually the exact opposite of the situation that happened with me in my pre-board. I could not complete the maths paper. So I knew the answers, but imagine how that will be. I really could not complete my paper. So that was a shock to me. And then I began timing myself and working hard with the sample papers. And so I built my speed, and in the board exam, like 50 minutes before time, I managed to complete. So this is another thing, that when you do sample papers, you do solve them, you get new perspectives, because each paper offers something different. It's like giving multiple exams. So you get different perspectives, you assimilate those, learn from those experiences, and then apply them in the final exam. I still remember that I was able to maintain my composure during the board exam. So that was all because I had practiced from so many sources, and sample papers, of course, really boost your confidence. And of course, you can pick any book. There's so many available in the market for sample papers. I personally prefer U-like sample papers. So especially if you pick one for maths, you should try to complete all the sample papers again. There are about 40 or so, some solved and some unsolved, so try to complete all of them. And relaxing is also an important part of your schedule. During exam preparation, it can get pretty hectic. So when you are relaxing, just one thing about this, that do not be in charge. You do not be in charge of giving yourself breaks, because that can really destroy your discipline. That can really lead to a lot of procrastination. So it's better to let somebody else, somebody elder to you, decide when to give you a break, when you should take a break, and do something that you enjoy. So, for example, if you are reading a subject and you're getting bored with it, if you think you will enjoy some other subject, do it. Because, for example, if studying something like SST, which involves a lot of memorizing, so if that seems boring to you, then do maths if you enjoy the analytical way of thinking. So that way you're also, working towards your final goal while also relaxing, if that is how it is to you. So for me, I enjoy listening to classical music. I like making my own manga, which is like Japanese version of comics. And you can read scientific journals, something which I enjoy. So whatever it is, you just do what you enjoy during the time that you relax. But the only thing is that try to avoid gaming or watching movies and all those things, because that really tends to distract you. Try to avoid those. And at the end of each day, you should reflect, meditate and reflect on what you have done for that day. Okay, so you see how efficiently you've spent the past 24 hours, and critique your own work. So improve, try to keep improving and evolve your technique, and transcend all barriers to progress. So the other thing is that as these questions are coming up, it says how to work in the last 2 months. So I'd say that do not push things to the last 2 months. It is the preparation is. There's a very famous line that preparation is not like a 100-meter race; it's actually a marathon. So keep working from the beginning of the year and pick up pace towards the end. So that way, it is very effective. Yes, if you have somehow missed out on the first few months, it's okay. All you need to do is double up the rigor and keep working hard. So whatever you do, so there should be a set pattern in which you are studying. So I'd say that your notebook should be the first place from which you study, from which you revise and review all the concepts. And that can only happen if you're paying 100% attention in class, because then your notes will be good. So study from your notes first, because those are things that you have made. They're closer to you and you're more comfortable reading them. Following which, you can read your textbook thoroughly. You'll develop a good understanding of all concepts. Finally, solve sample papers and all sorts of practice questions. So I'd like to conclude with a little note on the online teaching. So whatever it is, like when you are studying through online classes, sincerity is something which matters a lot. Whether you're giving an exam online or simply classes, try to sit on a chair. Okay, try to have a table in front of you. Use a bigger screen to avoid strain on the eyes, and try to follow a set of rules, a set of ideals and principles. So a philosophy of discipline, dedication, hard work, honesty, and sincerity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditya. I'm sure your listeners are going to take a lot of tips from you. And there were so many questions. We are not able to answer all these questions. We will find out ways and means by which we can answer all those questions. But I think most of the questions you have answered while you were talking, whether it is a date, some people insist you have to study only in the morning, only in the night. That, as very rightly Aditya said, that depends on you. Everybody's body clock is different, so you can't force one individual to study at a particular time. Something works for someone, you'll have to find. And one very good thing what I liked about Aditya was, he's stressed on classwork and he's stressed on hard work. So these are two things which generally people are reluctant to do. Classwork kya kar raha hai? That way we have other sources. We have reference book, we have YouTube videos, we have tutors, so classwork. But Aditya, believe me, whatever he said, I will 100% agree with whatever he said, that his classwork copy is, I think it should be decorated in the school reception, because it is so precise and complete, and with so many, and it's very, very neat. So Aditya, we are proud of you and your achievements, and we hope that you are going to do excellently well in class 12 also. So thank you so much, and stay with us, and let's see if we can answer these questions right at the end also. So next, we come to another child prodigy, I must say, Jagrati Sharma. She is from the very prestigious Step by Step school, and I'm very happy to inform you that she was among the top 10 in India as far as her scores were concerned, with a 98.6% in class 12. And obviously, because of that high percentage, Jagrati got into the prestigious, again, St. Stephen's College, which is the best in Asia, and she's completed her English honors from there. So, Jagrati, welcome. And obviously, and there is always a misconception that toppers do only studies, they're not good in other things. So, I'm very happy to tell the audience here that she's also a very accomplished Odissi dancer, and she performed during the Commonwealth. So, we'll talk more about that, and I'm sure she has some very, very useful things to share. So, it's over to you, Jagrati. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, sir. And congratulations, Aditya. That was brilliant. So just to start off, I was not like this at all. My average throughout my school life till 12th grade was 80, 85, and I used to barely scrape through. And however, when it came to 12th grade, one thing that became really important for me was to have a single goal in mind. And that is a goal that you have to decide for yourself. It is something that you need, that you have done, not something that your parents or teachers or your friends and family impose upon you. You need to listen to them because they also know you very well. Take advice from them, see what works best for you, but set on that goal. Once you have that goal, every step you take, every decision you make should be towards achieving that. And that's what worked best for me. My plan was to go to LSR and do psychology honors or sociology honors. Ended up doing quite different from that. But once you have something where you want to reach, you will, by hook or by crook, some way or the other, you will reach there. You will find a way. Um, and like everybody else, I used to look for tips, I used to look for tricks, I used to Google all sorts of things and ask all of these questions. And I just wanted like a ready made manual in front of me that I could copy cover to cover and just ace the exams. Because this fear of boards around us is so daunting that sometimes we just undervalue ourselves, undermine ourselves, and we forget how much we are capable of doing. Um, so just to like give very like basic tricks and everything, um, just first focus on what you know about yourself. What is your attention span? Are you a 45 minutes person? Are you a 10 minutes person? Or can you sit for like, I don't know, 3 hours straight? Know that. Then work on how much sleep your body requires, how much rest you need, because studying is as taxing as absolutely any other physical sport. Um, See how much sleep you need to rest to process what all you've studied in the entire day. And that way you can retain all of that. The third thing I would say is be conscious of what you're eating in terms of food and uh, like just in general of what you're eating. Have a balanced diet. It's very, very important to stay healthy at this time so that you have the mental energy to give towards boards, which is preparation and then giving the exam. Because as you go closer to the date, your body has a tendency to burn out or fade out, and you wouldn't nobody would want that towards the boards. So it's very important to have a healthy lifestyle. And towards achieving that healthy lifestyle, the other thing is have a balance between studies and the extracurriculars or your co-curriculars. As Ishan said, it's very important to have something apart from studies and find that thing. And when it comes to distraction, um, if you have a control over it, if you have a control over what you think is a distraction, will stop being one. So suppose, and this is where I think what worked best for me was just a reward system. So if I knew I did well in that half an hour of sitting, I will reward myself with either like a treat to eat, or I'll watch something, or I'll listen to music, or I'll just walk around, or just spend time with my family. But have a reward system that increases. So if you did well in 30 minutes, you'll get a small reward. If you did 1 hour, you'll get a bigger reward. And that way you have something very small to work towards. Um, the other thing then is that if you're giving a lot of time to your studies, say like you're giving 4 hours to studies, then give a significant amount of time to your extracurriculars. So for me, I maintained my dance class till the last day of my boards. I still remember I used to specifically go for dance class the evening before my board. Like 10:30 was my board exam the next day. Today evening, I'm going out for like my dance. So that way, I mean, this is a pre-prep thing. So this I would say is like early days. As you go closer to your board exam, focus on what you're studying. Find the way or a study material that works best for you. And picking up on what Ishana, he also Aditya also said, was it's important to know in terms like what works for you with notes. School, I will like stress again, like everybody, is very, very important. Your teachers know what they're doing. It is supremely important to attend your class and just scribble down, take notes, even if you're like, oh, I've done this before. I mean, I've studied this already. They're just repeating what I know. It doesn't matter. Just write down. You might just find something new or different, or that something will help you out. And also, your doubts will get cleared which you didn't even know you had. Like, so you have a doubt, you're like, I'll fix this later, but you went to class, you listened carefully, and that doubt got cleared. So it's just working faster than what you would have ideally planned. Um when you're working with chapters, especially, so I had humanities, I had history, sociology, psychology, which are large chapters in terms of pages. um Question papers work the best. You have a structure that the question paper offers you. Pick up like, so you're working on chapter 3. Identify questions from the paper that are of chapter 3 and address the chapter through that. And get as many question papers as you can from friends, past papers, um, sample papers from the board website, online. Just get as many question papers as you can and don't hesitate asking from your teachers. And now that we're online, all teachers are interconnected, they share them. Just get them together and attempt the chapter through questions. When you do that, you will understand what paragraph or what subsection of the chapters can get how many marks. So this is a very tiny paragraph of like 8 lines, but a question came for 4 marks, and you don't know how to take out 4 points from it. So find out how many points you can get, as in so points for the answer. So get as much as you can. When you do that, when once you've done through the chapter and you seem to have covered pretty much all the sections of a chapter, you will know how your brain will know what point to pick from where. The other trick that question papers solve is sometimes you get a question that is covering 3 chapters. So, for example, in history in 12th grade, there are 3 chapters that address the national movement. Um, and so it's the last 3 chapters of history. I'm forgetting the name. Um, and so a lot of times you get questions that cover Gandhi's journey through those chapters. So you don't know where to pick from where, and you won't be able to make connections unless you've done that, or you've attempted that question. The other thing and the best thing is, if you do about 20-25 question papers in the from a subject, you can predict the 26th question paper, which might just end up being yours, and which worked with me when I did psychology. I done so many question papers that I could identify what kind of question paper will come. The last thing I would work on is the answers when you are writing down. Those 15 minutes are crucial. Center yourself. Remember, just be conscious of what you remember. Be careful of yourself. If you're getting nervous, take a sip of water, take a breath, and you'll be fine. When the answer sheet comes, because you have attempted questions, you know how much your body can give in those 3 hours. um, when you're writing your answers, make sure that before attempting, you write if it's a 2 marker, write 2 points in the margin. 4 marker, write 4 points in the margin. Subheadings, write your answer. And because you've written, you know how many words fit in a single line. And if it's say an 8 marker and your teacher has said you have to write 500 words, and you know you have X number of words that you can write in a line, count the number of lines that will make up 500. Put a little pencil marker so you know your answer has to fit into that. When you are done with your answer sheet, it should look like, if you do a 5-second glance on a single page, you can get what you've written. So subheadings are important and handwriting is important. I read a question somewhere which said that how do I improve handwriting? I had a friend who took like nursery grades cursive writing handwriting and worked through that, and she started in like October, and by December, January, her handwriting had improved vastly. So that is like one trick that you can do for handwriting. And again, just work hard and give a sustained effort. Don't freak out, and take help as much as you can. Friends, family, form study circles, email your teachers, call your teachers up. Very important. And now that it's online, we think that we're not connected or we're too far off, but we are all the more connected because now we just have a screen in front of us and they're much more active in response. And the teachers also know how much help you need. Just reach out and they will definitely help you. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Jagriti. Really, words of wisdom, I must say. I'm sure a lot of tips. There were a lot of questions again, most of which we are not able to. But again, there were some questions on the habits about writing. I think most of you have taken, and in the end, we will see what other relevant questions we can take up. So thank you once again. And I'm also very eager to see some ODC steps. I know it's difficult to put on camera, but maybe some graphs you can show us on the screen.
Sure. I mean, so
just to take it a little lighter on a lighter note, yes.
So this is like a little piece where a Gopi sees Krishna and she calls another Gopi, saying, "Oh, look, Krishna's there. Look how." So she says he has sandalwood all over his body and he has the markings on his forehead. So it says, Sakhi, idhar aao, dekho, Krishna बांसुरी कितनी मधुर बजा रहा है. उसके चंदन कितनी खुशबू है उसने यहाँ पर लगा रखा है. उसकी जो कपड़े हैं वो पीले रंग के वस्त्र हैं और वो कितना खूबसूरत लग रहा है. सखी आओ ना, देखो उसके फूलों जैसे कान और उसका चेहरा कितना खूबसूरत है और वो मेरे मन को छू गया है. So it's a Jaydev's rendition of Geet Govind.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that is another side of you. So I wanted to show our audience that it is not only about studies. Our toppers are also involved in so many other things. Thank you once again, Jagriti, for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And now we move on to Aromal Rajendra Babu. So I am so proud to have you in this show, Aromal. He is also from Don Bosco School, so someone whom I have taught. So they are very close to me. And and what I liked about Aromal is that Aromal, correct me if I'm wrong, I have seen you as a young boy, and he's also very talented. He is a very good singer, he is a very good dancer, and he is good in academics. And as far as academics is concerned, I think he was an above average student in the lower classes, but as he came to 9, 10, 11, 12, gradually he became better and better. Isn't it, Aromal? Correct me if I'm wrong. And I could see that gradual change, that focus and the determination to do well. And that was something, a defining moment, I think, in a student's life, because everybody thinks ki nahi ho payega, you know, it's very difficult to get 95%. And he was among the toppers. And then, he got excellent marks in the board examination. So I want you, Aromal, to talk to our audience about that journey in that race of life. You know, some people run very fast and get tired, and then when it is time to perform, kuch nahi hota. So you know, you actually performed, you ran the race so well that you finished very well. The stamina was more important rather than the speed. So it's over to Aroman. Thank you. And hope you are going to enlighten our audience about that aspect, which I was also very curious to know. You can unmute yourself, Aroman.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much. I agree to what sir said. In my junior classes, I was not really in the best of zones when it came to studies. I was I was totally into a lot more into extracurricular activities, and I felt that I didn't have that maturity to sit and plan and evaluate myself when it comes to studies. But I remember uh, I ha- we had these Diwali holidays in class 9, and I had to study for my social studies weekly test, and the vacations got extended, and then I realized that, oh, now I have more time to study, and that would be a point where I actually sat for the first time and actually went through the syllabus and try to understand the syllabus and study. And after doing that, when I gave the paper, I I I, I was able to see a drastic change in my marks, and I was surprised at myself that, oh, if I actually sit and try to understand what's going on, then it's doable. And that motivated me. And I applied it in other subjects as well. And whenever I had some doubts and all, I never hesitated. I just directly approached my teachers and my friends, and it really helped me. And my parents were there to motivate me. So step by step, I knew more about my strengths and my weaknesses, and I was able to plan out my way of action effectively, and that really helped me. So
And I think
I really have.
bringing about your parents, I was about to ask you. I think your parents played a very major role. They were all, your mom was always so concerned about. She used to meet all the teachers and make sure that you do well. And I think they played a very important role in this and shaping what you are today.
Totally, sir. I totally agree with you. I'm really grateful to my parents. I remember in the parent-teacher meetings with sir itself, my parents were really concerned about my grades, and my mom used to come to sir and tell him about how I'm performing and all. It really helped me to have such supporting
And
parents.
Aramal, one thing I'm curious. You are such an amazing dancer. You are such a good singer. How did you manage your co-curricular with the curricular? Because that's a challenge for most people. How to manage everything together. Because I have
Yes,
seen you in so many. You perform for you. You are in a top. You are in Hansraj College. You are in
yes,
a
sir.
good college of Delhi University. And
Yeah,
do you think that extracurriculars helped you to get admissions besides your academics, of course?
yeah, exactly. Extra for me, dancing and singing, it helps me to refresh myself, and it gives me energy. And I used to apply it while I plan my schedule. While taking break, I just used to play my favorite song, and I just used to jam and maybe groove to it or maybe sing along with it. And
So
it really
which was
gives
that
me.
song? Which Sorry to interrupt you. Which was that song which you often used to sing to yourself so that you could motivate? Probably you could sing. हो सकता है कोई और भी बच्चे इंस्पायर हो जाए
Yeah,
वही गाना गुनगुना के उनके भी 95 आ जाए.
sure. So I have a
हाँ जी.
whole playlist of songs. I just play them and I group to them. I'll sing one of
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
favorite songs
Please.
for you all.
Yes.
Nisa gama pani sariga आरे मितवा जन्म जन्म से है हम हूँ तो प्यासे आ संग मेरे गा नी सा ग म प नी सा रे गा आ आ रे मितवा जन्म जन्म से है हम तो प्यासे आ संग मेरे गा नी सा ग म प नी सा रे गा
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks. That was
Thank you,
amazing.
sir.
And so it is really a privilege to have you. Any tips that you want to tell our audience that in the final 12th, how did you, what really, how many months did you study and to really get that good percentage of yours? What were the real tricks that you can tell in, let's say, 5 tips, if I have to ask you 5 tips on what goes
Yes,
on
sir.
to make it over. So what do you think are the 5 most important things that you can give to the students today?
Okay. I feel that firstly, a self-assessment of sorts needs to be done before you actually get into studying your topics. I mean, you know how you have performed previously, and you know what subjects you are relatively strong at and which ones require more time. And this really helps for you to plan out your schedule effectively. And so the next part comes planning. So after knowing your strengths and weaknesses, you can allot timelines, you can allot certain deadlines as per your speed, of course, and you should be able to see a particular date by when you'd like to see yourself finishing that topic. And after making the main plan, divide it into simpler goals. I mean, set goals for months, for weeks, for days. And especially when it comes to day planning, what I do is after I've after I've done the main things that I was supposed to do today, I evaluate how I was able to fare as my plan was concerned, and then I take a piece of paper, I take my pen, and then I plan out the next day. I just go through in my mind all that I have to do tomorrow, and then I write that down and I give myself time slots, and I give myself enough space for breaks. Breaks really help me to re energize myself and then come back again and put that energy and do my studies productively. So this is one thing. And if you feel that you have the discipline and you can control yourself, great. If not, tell your parents that I am taking my break from this time to this time, and if I am not able to come back from it, please check on me. They would be there for you. And even if you have friends with whom you can share, just let them know. There would be people to help you through it. This is one thing. And after you have done your sets of revision, after you have practiced the sample papers and all, for the final 1 or 2 days, for me, I would not be comfortable with going through all the topics in one day before the examination. So what I used to do is after going through everything, of course you have things in mind that okay, in this chapter these many topics are there. So I used to make a mind map of sorts, just the name of the topics. I just used to write them in a way that I, after writing them, just by looking at it, I could refer it back to what I had studied, so that it helps me in quick revision of the syllabus. And another thing which I'd really like to stress on is how you are on the day of the exam. I highly suggest you all to be prepared and wake up early and keep your stuff ready before time to prevent the possibility of any mishap, as it could lead to further panic while giving the exam. I had a pretty bad experience. I somehow got late for one of my board exams, and I reached late. And when I reached the class where I was supposed to give my paper, I by the time I reached, or everybody else was there, and I really took some time to get back to my mental state. And trust me, that's a zone that you would really want to avoid. So take care of time management. And while giving the exam, just tell yourself that yes, you have worked, you have put in your effort, and you can do this. And if you put your mind, your heart and soul to anything you want, you would be able to achieve it. Tell that to yourself. Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Aromal.
I,
Really great.
yes,
So
thank you, sir.
I know you have so much more to say, but since we have limited time, I think we'll have a session two where we can come back later and probably give more this thing. And so we have, if we can, there are lots and lots of questions. I'm not able to take even the questions because due to the restrictions of time. So there are lots of questions like, do we have to do only from NCRT, etc., etc. So NCRT is like the Bible, right? So every teacher will tell you do from NCRT thoroughly. So you need to do that. There is no choice. There are some people who say that I'm going to do from this book, not NCRT. That is that is a big fallacy that you are going to commit. NCRT is the book, and of course for extra practice like subjects in maths, there is always, as I think Jagriti had mentioned about you like sample paper, or I think Aditya also mentioned about doing more and more sample papers. So that's sample papers gives you an idea about the questions. You can practice the questions which have come in the previous year's board questions. So if the question is NCRT enough? I think for most subjects it is enough. And now because of that distinction in maths, that basic and standard, even if your NCRT is thorough, I think you will be able to answer those questions. It's only that since you want to be confident, so you do more and more from other books. But what is important is our base. So probably, the other toppers will also share their this thing. So thanks, Aroman, for your precious time, and we would have loved to see you dance also, but that we'll keep it for the next session. We'll arrange a dance session for you. So because you are so multi-talented. Okay, so next, our next speaker is Anya Mittal, and I'm so proud to have her on the show. She is a real fighter, and I'll tell you why. Because Anya is from Amity, right? And what comes out in Anya is that although she came out through very difficult situation. In fact, yesterday she was having fever, and today she is on the show. Her grandmother was not well; she was in the hospital. And what happened when she was in class 10, if I may allow to share to the, I think it's going to be very inspiring. That is, in the month of December, Anya had a facial paralysis, and exams were in March. And at that point of time, I think any student would have cracked and said that I am not going to give the exam out. So facial paralysis, and she was, a medical condition was not so good that she is fit to give in the board examination. And she lost the most crucial months to prepare for the board exams. That is the month of December, January, February, where people actually start studying and that rigor. And in spite of that, Anya, I am so glad to say that you scored an amazing percentage. You got 95%, and you are an inspiration, I would say, not only for the students, but to me also. I mean, I can use your example to, whomsoever I say that, I know someone who has, come through this. So I want you to speak that how did you manage this, that in spite of, having so much difficulties at that point of time when you were going to give the board exams, still you came out with flying colors. Yes, Anya.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm very lucky to have myself here. And because it's very easy to give examples, but it's very difficult to become an example yourself. Thank you so much. So, first of all, I would like to speak up about the exams. That it's not about bringing good marks in exams. It's about studying well and loving the subject. Because when you love the subject, you will definitely excel in that. You need to develop your habits, your hobbies, so that you can develop your mind too in order to exceed in your daily schedule. So first of all, you need to make notes of of every subject, so that you might not lose that exams. And moreover, the much that I did in school when I attended school. I did all the homework at school only, because it takes too much time to do it in the home. So I'm extremely sorry, sir. I'm having fever today also.
I know that. That's why we are very happy that you came in spite of the problems that you have. You have come. So just you can share a few tips, 4 or 5 tips on. I just want to know those. How were those 2 3 months? Like, did you feel that you could give the exam? Who inspired you, or it was a self motivation of sort that you could give the exams?
No, sir. Actually, my father was a real inspiration for me. I was very feared and tense at that time, and I was not able to give the exam. My hands were also shaking at that time. I was not knowing what to do. But I remember all my words from my father. They were from the heart, and I really appreciate him. And actually, it's very difficult for, I know it's very difficult for a child to come up in the situation when he is suffering from such an extreme situation like paralysis. So he was a real inspiration for me. I thank him a lot. And
Yes, yes.
what
That
happened
Vaibhav
during
sir,
science?
you must be very proud of her. I know her father very well. He's
Yes,
also a
sir.
very accomplished maths teacher. So yes.
Yes. Actually, what happened during science exam, I lost 20 to 30 minutes in it because I was not able to close my eyes due to the paralysis one only. I just relaxed at that time. Actually, I was crying because I had lost 20 to 30 minutes. But then too, I remember that I had almost 1 hour left. So I just did it. I remembered him and I just go to it. Then I would say that hard work is very necessary in life, because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It has been rightly said that tomorrow never comes. You have today and only today. You can do it today only. Do it whatever you can. Set up your goals and go for it. Secondly, many people are asking that how to do the sample papers. So whenever you're doing the sample papers, just try to do it every 3-hour paper in 2 hours, so that you can do that in in the real exam. You will be able to do it in 2 hours 40 minutes, or we can say 2 hours 20 minutes. But if you want to do it in the limited time, then just prepare yourself like that. You need to do the 3 hours paper in the 2 hour one. Secondly, when it comes to the last moment preparation, actually my father was very worried. I scored a 80% in ninth class, and he was very worried as I was very a lot much in co-curricular activities. I played kho, football, and chess, and so I was not in studies too much. But when I came in 10th, I just started to prepare myself from the beginning. I started to make notes. I started all whatever my father said, I did that. So it's very necessary to make your mentor very like you need to think too much when you're having an ideal or you are having your mentor, because it helps you a lot. They're your inspiration. They helps you a lot in those hard times and you when you feel stressed. So that's a lot. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
great. Thank you for the awesome share. Thank you for the awesome share. I'm sure that it's been a great learning experience for everyone. So, Anya, thanks for coming once again in spite of your fever. And I wanted you to come, and I'm glad that you made that effort to come in. That's the fighter in you, and you will. And I hope that you really continue this fighting spirit, and you can inspire so many others. Right. So thank you, Anya. And next we come to our next speaker, that is Anthony Cecil. Anthony Cecil, he is sitting at the airport right now. Look at his background. So people are wondering what is the issue here. So he is sitting at the airport right now. So why is he at the airport? We have some good news. The good news is that we were very happy in school that he cleared the NEET examination, which is the prestigious medical entrance. And so we are proud. And he is in Bangalore. And yesterday we came to the good news that he gave us the good news that he's selected for St. John's. And so Anthony Cecil is another gem of a person who's got 100 in maths, 100 in science, 100 in SST, 3 subjects. So he's a perfectionist. So, Anthony, we are glad that you are having, and in spite of, see, this is what I admire about you people, that in spite of so many difficulties, you are traveling, but you made sure today you have a flight to catch at 2 o'clock. You made sure that you are at the airport at 11 o'clock and you wanted to be in this show. So, this is what fighters are all about, not giving excuses. Like Anya, in spite of her sickness, she came today. And today you were busy, you had a flight, but you made an effort to come to the airport and then early and then chose a place. And so this is all inspiring stories, not only about your academics, but I like these traits which is in you. Today's, I think India has got a bright future with you people. So Anthony, it's over to you.
Well, good morning to all, and thank you, Matthew sir, for the lovely introduction that you gave me. Straight off the bat, I would like to say that it's an honor and a great pleasure to be here, and I made sure that I would never miss this event because it's through these events that other students get an opportunity to know how students like them only, like in real life, they do what people think that it's unimaginable. So straight off the bat, I'll like to tell everyone that I came from Kolkata. When I was in class 2, I used to study in Kolkata in Don Bosco, an ICSE medium, and then came in class 2, the later stages, to Delhi in Don Bosco school. So the interesting fact is that in Kolkata, I was a pretty average student, like scoring around 17 out of 25 and the. So when I came to Delhi, the curriculum shifted from ICSE to CBSE. So up till that point, I was a pretty laid back student who just studied just normally, like every day, like put 2-3 hours in a day. But then when I came to Don Bosco, because of my ICSE background, I could like ace the exams pretty well in my second grade. So then I came to know that suddenly the new student had become the most popular one in school. So then I imagined that, well, if grades can get me like a recognition and all, and there is a feeling of satisfaction within me. So I think I used that to my advantage, and from then on, I decided that if I want to do something in life, if I want to people to know me, and if I want to feel satisfied, then I'll have to work hard for it. So from that moment onwards, I tried to improve whatever I could, like putting more hours in our studies, etc. So, well, during the exams, one thing during my preparation that I made sure was that I had enough time to rest, enough time to sleep, and enough time to study, because that's the three things that are most important. People usually go that you need to study for this many hours, that CBSE board exams are pretty tough. But then I made a decision that no, I won't tell what other people do. I won't do what other people tell me to do. I would make my own rules. And then I consulted with my parents and they were satisfied with my rules. I said that if I want to score well, there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance in life that everyone should apply. So I made sure that I get 8 hours of sleep every day, no matter which day. There was never a day in my whole 12th class that I slept less than 7-6 hours. And during the fag end of the year, I made sure that I kept my head down and focused a lot. Like there was also another rule that I put into place, that there were several questions that how many hours should we study, and personally, according to me, that's a wrong attitude to have actually. Like we must not go by the hours spent. Instead, we must focus on the content that we have actually studied. So even if we study for 30 minutes, make sure that those 30 minutes, whatever you have studied, you have put your heart and soul into it. So that 30 minutes of sincere studies can actually have a greater impact than 7 hours of continuous non-sincere studies. That's why I also did not join coaching, because I'm not that kind of a person. There are other people who can actually sit down for 6-7 hours straight, put all their minds into it and score well. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually impressive and I have huge amount of respect for those. But and I'm sure many other students were just not able to sit down that long. So we made sure that I took enough rest and ample time for myself, continuing parallel to my studies. I found that music really helped me. So like any music, I just when I'd feel tired and exhausted, I just put up my earphones and then listen to all kinds of music. And importantly, and during the last 2 months of the examinations, believe in yourself. There should not be an iota of self doubt, because it's your result, and whatever you do is the fruits that you reap are on for you only, because the result only you will enjoy and your family members. The hard work only you will do. Nobody else will like come up and give those marks or give that result straight out of the bag to you if you don't put in any effort. uh, there are many students, and I personally have this experience that during my formative years of classes 6, 7, and 8, I used to fear subjects, like fear maths, fear science. But then I finally consulted with my parents, and my dad gave me a gem of an advice, and that was respect each subject, fear none. That line always is stuck in my mind, because if you respect each subject, then that fear slowly fades away. Like maths may be difficult, a particular subject you may find it difficult, so it's a fact that it's a difficult subject. You don't need to fear that subject. Difficult things does not mean that it's impossible. So if I respected that subject, put in that much effort, then I was sure that we will be able to clear it. And then the last thing that I would like to say is that no matter how, whatever your result is, no matter how good you are, how great achievements you have accomplished, always be grounded. Because there's a saying, it's actually a lyric from a Coldplay song, that you might be a big fish in a little pond, but you never know when the next big pond might come. So always be grounded, stay focused, stay healthy, and like 95% of all our accomplishments are through hard work, but that remaining 5%, it's something like, you may call it luck, you may call it God's grace, you may call it destiny, but that 5% needs to play a role. And usually it always plays a role. And it's a nice mixture of hard work and luck that ultimately give the achievements to any person.
Sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. In spite of your busy schedule, you were traveling. In spite of that, you got time for us. In the meantime, I want to welcome our other panel members, Utkarsh, Khushi, and Ayan. So glad to have you all in this. And I am going to invite our next speaker, Utkarsh Mishra, who is in presently in class 11, and he is in Shemford Futuristic School. So, Utkarsh, first of all, welcome. You can unmute your mic and tell us something about your school and about yourself first, and then obviously you can talk about how you scored 100 in maths and how did you become what you are right now.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for introduction. Uh, uh, for getting, I have not like that from starting. I was like, I would not believe that I would get 100 out of 100 in mathematics. It's just uh, confidence which my teachers give to me. The regular talk with my teacher and parent has given me a confidence which have enabled me to secure good marks. Like if you talk to me to participate in such a event, such a live event in class 8, uh, I would simply deny to participate because I was not that confident. This confidence enables me to get good marks. Life is full of challenges, and people tend to feel worried and insecure. These board exams are also just a part of that. So, to deal with that, we should build a positive approach. We should start thinking a positive side in everything, and that would make all the thing somewhat easy. And for uh, performing well, you should be regular and sincere, because many people think that no, we have time, we have 6 7 months. This doesn't work like you are studying at the last. If you start studying from the beginning, this would enable you to think and would give you time for other activities also. And uh, when you what I have did in my uh, uh, class 10th, I have taken chapter wise worksheet. Whenever a chapter gets completed, I take worksheet and solve them. This would enable me to know my weak point, what I don't know, and I could give more time to these topics. This helps me a lot. Also, when I study, if I found that no, I don't want to study in this subject, I am getting bored. So I immediately change the topic. I study something else, or I listen to music, which makes me calm and relaxed, and then I can uh, uh, again study with greater enthusiasm. And once till October, November, your syllabus gets completed. So then I have started taking sample paper. Firstly, I have tried to complete sample paper in 245. Then I limited my time to 30 to 15, and this helps me a lot. Which in my board exams, I have done all my papers within I think on an average 45 minutes before the exam time. Also, you should have a aim. This would enable you to, this would give you the reason for what for learning. This would not distract. If you have a aim, you would think that no, I have to achieve this aim, and this would avoid your distraction. As many people were asking what to do for distraction. For distraction, you should think about your aim. No, I have to achieve this, and for this I should avoid all these things. Like uh, most of the people in class 10th are joining Facebook, Twitter. I am away from these things. Actually, these give a lot of distraction in your studies. So I haven't used these things. Also, like uh, uh, n- uh, games like PUBG, these are also very uh, uh, distractive. So we need to avoid these games. And if you are getting free time, you can play physical games, you can listen music. This would make you relaxed and will help you a lot.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for bringing that gaming part because nowadays there is
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of addiction. There is a lot of addiction. I'm glad that you brought up this. And there's a lot of people are going into gaming, spending hours and hours on the computer or on the mobile, spending a lot of precious time, and it's an addiction. And coming out of an
Yes, sir.
addiction is very, very difficult. So I'm glad that you brought it out. And it's so difficult to. There is a lot of peer pressure. अरे तू पबजी नहीं खेलता, तू ये नहीं खेलता, that way, and then you are sidelined. You are the black sheep if you are not going through that. So in fact, all the toppers I was speaking to, most of them are not on social media. They don't have Instagram accounts. They don't have Facebook accounts. So and in fact, I found it so difficult to talk to you, get in touch with you, because you don't even use WhatsApp. You are using your parents or something like that. So these are some sacrifices. I'm glad that you brought it up, Utkarsh. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to say, or you are over with it?
No, sir, I'm over with it.
Thank you, really good, and I'm happy that you brought about this gaming aspect. I wanted one of you to talk about it, because when it comes from a topper who has sacrificed something, you have to give something away to get something. So one of the sacrifices that Utkarsh made was he stayed away from social media and gaming and all. And I'm so glad that he brought about that point, and that's why he got that 100 marks. And because it's not easy to score 100, there are a lot of people who get 98, 99 और फिर पूछने यार मेरा तो पेपर बहुत अच्छा हुआ, वो एक मार्क कहाँ चला गया. So getting 100 is really precious. So Utkarsh, thank you once again. So next we have Khushi Jain. I'm so happy, Khushi, that you could join us today. And she is also an All India rank topper, if I may say. She's got 98.2%. And she is presently studying in the prestigious Delhi University College, Lady Shri Ram. So you are from BGS International, Dwarka, and she did her studies from there. And so it's over to you, Khushi, and you can give some practical tips on how difficult was it for you to achieve this.
Okay, sir. Thank you for inviting me, sir. So basically, I am that person who has a short attention span. So I used to keep my study sessions small. Like I used to study for 20 minutes or so and then take a walk for 5 minutes, or basically have a small chat with my family members, or like play with my cousins. After that, I used to take, like, after these 2 to 3 sessions of 20 minutes each, I used to take a long break and watch a TV series or something. I used to watch a lot of Netflix and Amazon Prime. Furthermore, I used to use Reddit to scroll memes and, have laugh, have like share some laugh. Otherwise, reading was one of my hobbies, and I used to continue it till the end. I used to read before sleep, like after the end of my day. And coming to the physical things, I used to take care on my water intake. I made it a point that I had to stay hydrated. Also, my social life was very helpful for me, because whenever I used to feel a lot of anxiety or apprehension, I used to just call up a friend and have a chat with them, because it really releases the stress. Furthermore, if I talk about strategies for particular subjects, so firstly, I would like to mention English, because English is that subject which is underestimated, but it is very important, because in the best of four it is counted. So we must make it a point that we have to read the NCERT chapters like 3 to 4 times at a minimum, and all the words and all the lines must be clear. And while writing, it is better to have a pencil in your hand, so that you can highlight the points which you are finding difficult, and feel free to ask the doubts, no matter how silly it is, and if it makes sense or not, because the teachers would be very happy to help you. And you may feel embarrassed one time, but in the long run it would be very helpful. Furthermore, for the other subjects, I am from humanities background. So for pol science, sociology, and psychology, I relied on the NCERT. Like NCERT was my Bible. I took those words very seriously, and I used to make the small notes, but I used to make those small notes in the book itself, because I'm not that person who can make notes, detailed notes, and then study that. I don't have that much dedication, but like small notes helped me, and I used to revise them again and again. Furthermore, I had like, or like the question banks. I used to refer them only for the questions. I didn't used to see the answers. It was just like I used to practice a lot of questions, so that I have an idea about the question type which is being asked. And if you analyze the past 5 to 10 years paper, you almost get an idea like what is expected in the exam, and that really helped me. Furthermore, I would like to mention, like, when the exam is nearing, there is a lot of anxiety, and like sometimes people also faint. So I used to try to meditate. Like, it is very difficult sometimes, but I used to give 10 to 20 minutes to it, so that it is helpful. And the most important thing, like, if I had to basically summarize my strategy in one line, then it would be consistent efforts compound over time. Because there have been days when I just studied for 20 minutes, and there have been days when I studied for 5 hours, but in the end, the consistency matters. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Kushi, for sharing that. Thank you so much for that awesome share. And there were real practical tips on how to score that. And 98.2% is very, very tough. So I'm sure the marks must have been really, really high. So I'm glad that you came and shared this. So do you think that there are lots of questions that, we have not studied throughout now the year? Is there still time in now? Hardly, I think, let's say 3 months are left. Is it still possible to get this high score in this 3 months? So any tips for that? Last minute tips, like 3 months, what to do so that a high score there can be obtained?
Sir, in my opinion, we should stay away from the guides and reference book. We should stick to the NCERT and like study it 2 to 3 times thoroughly. And after that, we should move to the question banks, and then analyze the questions. Because once you start analyzing the question, you'll know that some questions are repeated no matter what. Like in psychology and pol science, except there are certain questions which are bound to come. So we need to analyze those questions, and if it is possible, we can do a writing practice. For maths, I would like to say that I had a problem with speed, so I used to practice sample question paper. And in pol science, sociology, and psychology, I didn't really have a problem with speed per se, but I wanted to improve the quality of my answers, and for that, multiple readings helped me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kushi. I'm glad that you shared all these tips and so many perceptions, different perceptions or different toppers are coming Maintaining a balance is important, and also so good that you mentioned that NCRT is so important. People take NCRT like they don't give the respect that it deserves. NCRT is actually the best book for studies. You need to study that line by line, and people say, "Oh, NCRT hai, ye kuch nahi hai." So all the toppers are emphasizing on one thing, that do the NCRT well, and besides that, if you are thorough with that, then do your sample papers, look at the questions which have come in the past years, and then all the reference book is going to give you extra practice. But do not neglect your NCRT. Thank you, Kushi, for sparing your time. And next we have Ayan. Ayan is from Saint Soldiers School, Panchkula, and he had 100 in maths and an aggregate of 97.2%. And so it's over to you, Ayan. I want you to speak on your experience. How did you go about preparation, and maybe something about your school, if you wish to say, and your family, and were you also away from social media, or you play a lot of games? How was it for you? You can unmute yourself, Ayan, and then speak. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So for me, like I started my preparations for from my first day, because like I had to appear for the NTSC. So my my complete syllabus was over by the month of November. But like for studying for NTSC and studying for boards were completely different. So for NTSC it was some kind of an objective exam, and for boards subjective exam. So for boards, what I used to do is simply the best books for studying any subject was NCRT, and if it had an exemplar, so the exemplar. So if you want to score good marks in any subject, then only NCRT and exemplar are enough. For maths specifically, exemplar will allow you to score complete 100. I used only those two books, and other than that I used sample papers and many like online material which was available for me. And like I was seeing about what was my timetable and things like that they were asking. So I prefer not to make a timetable but to make a content table. We should decide what we have to do rather than when we have to do them. Like sit down in the morning and write down everything that you have to do in that day, and when you are like thinking that you can do this, then do that, because timetable I think is really like limiting, and it like limited me to like a very small period of time. So I recommend making a content table so that you can only focus on the things you need to do. But like of course everybody is different, and you can try it, like one day you can make a timetable and other day you can try making the things you want to do and make a content table. Now I also see that some of the people are more scared, like during the board exams, like the tension is more scarier than the syllabus which is left. So actually I want to say that don't take tension. I was the one, like I cannot sit for a long time. I usually studied for about an hour or two, and then I took a break and like did some kind of scribbling or doodling in my notebook, and then like sat in one place. I never got up from that place, but I was like always like shifting my mind from one thing to another, so that I never got bored in subjects. Like SST was my weakest subject at that time, because it was like I could not like remember a lot of things unless I understood those. So to understand SST, I had to go through the complete chapters and understand the stories and make my own stories so that I can understand those chapters. So SST was my most difficult part, but I do it, and yes, it was like the best thing was my teachers in my school helped me a lot. They were really motivating, and they helped me for every step. Like if I had any doubt, I can simply just call them or message them, and they would simply reply to me. And for like if I want to Hindi was my weakest subject of all. Like I used to score in around 60s out of 80s, but the thing was I in even in my pre boards I scored the least in Hindi, but it was like Hindi was my main subject of focus. Then after I saw that I was scoring good in every subject and only Hindi was like lacking behind, so I took up Hindi and I was able to score 97 in boards in Hindi. So yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Ayan, for those lovely sharing. And I think we have through with the sessions and all 8 perspectives we have listened to. There are a lot of questions on the chat, and we were not able to take all those questions, but some of the questions are already answered about maintaining a balance. Maintaining a balance is important. About maintaining that delicate balance between studies and extracurricular is important. So all these things the toppers have shared. And another thing emphasized is NCRT, and Ayan has added use exemplar. So exemplar is also another good book, so that all this can be answered. So thank you once again to all our audiences who took out time, and thanks to all the panel members who came and spared their time. I'm sure you are taking back something precious, and we will try to organize such sessions more in the future. So with this, I conclude. I just want to conclude with one statement saying that, what is important for us. So if is our position important? Are we what is important? Are we living in a big bungalow, or are we having 2 cars or 3 cars? How many servants do I have? What is important for me? If I take away all these things, what are you? That makes you as a person. So you are, what you are is not what you have. So if I remove what you have, then what are you? That makes you, isn't it? So what you need to invest in yourself, basically acquire skills. As our toppers have told, their focus was not on gaming or social media or other things. They kept that focus. So I want to wish you all the best. Invest in yourself. That is the best investment, and that is going to keep you in good stead, and that is what is going to give you success, not the material gains, not your positions, not the organizations which you're going to work for. What are you will define you. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed this discussion. Thanks once again.
Thanks for having us.